of all of us over the years, and got goosebumps all over the place. Well, here's the thing, and throughout all this, you're going to hear a little bit about my story and how this all happened. But how this happened was this. You know, many of you are Martha Stewart. You know, you like to make packages and gifting, and you know, you go do your own full thing, and that's fine. But there's girls that aren't Martha Stewart, and I felt that it wasn't fair that if you were a person who wasn't really into making bows and gifting, that you immediately took yourself out of the equation for Christmas. I think that everybody has an opportunity to make money, and I mean money, at Christmas time. So that's how this all started. Many years ago, well, now I'll start telling you my story, then you'll understand some of this and what we're going to do here. My goal today is to make every one of you in this room, and obviously the ones that aren't in this room, because a lot of those people think they can't do Christmas, that you'll be able to take back to them that Christmas has to be easy and very simple. It has to be elegant. It has to be cost effective, because your goal isn't to be Martha Stewart. Your goal is to sell product. And so over the course of the season, we get caught up in the making and the fun part, and we don't do the selling part. So I'm going to give you lots of time to sell and make your life really easy. But how this started, I'll tell you my story. I've been in Mary Kay for 31 years, and prior to Mary Kay, I owned clothing stores, and I opened my first store at 19, and I had, over the course of the next 13 years, I had 5 stores, women's clothing stores. They were junior stores at that time, and then I was looking at the dates on there. In the 80s, we had a huge recession. It was a flip of this one, like, you know, where the interest rates are really low. Back then, the interest rates went really high. So for me to float my inventory, I was paying 22% interest on a bank, not on credit cards. There were no credit cards. I'm going to tell you stories that will blow your mind. You got there were no credit cards. They didn't exist. They did not exist. So it got to the point where I needed to close the stores because it wasn't profitable. You just couldn't do it. And stores were closing. It was awful. So it was like, and I started my Mary Kay business in the worst economic climate that we had had since the recession. That's when I started. I had just had a double mastectomy at 29, and my baby was extremely ill and was dying. And I got a divorce, and I had to close my stores. That's when I got into Mary Kay, during the recession. So, during the recession, and I gained like 25 pounds in 2 days. So, it was terrible. So, what I'm going to tell you is one person's excuse can be another person's reason.
Right.
So that's when I got into Mary Kay. I was what I call a Mary Kay snob. I was also I was a model, and I was a makeup artist for a lot of makeup companies. So I got into Mary Kay never having a product on my face. I never tried it. Didn't matter. It was a good line. And I got in strictly on the opportunity. I wanted an unlimited earning potential. I didn't want a cap on it. No matter what I did, I could not take the stores beyond where they were. And I lived very rurally, just like this. I lived in a small town. It was 8,000, and we had all these stores in and stuff. So I signed for that unlimited earning potential. And then it was like, you gotta be kidding me. You think I'm gonna go door to door selling stuff? Not gonna happen. And it didn't. And I didn't sell anything. My director thought I was gonna be a national in 3 days, and she was so excited when she was this girl's gonna be awesome. And I didn't do anything. And then we went to Louisville, Kentucky to meet the largest money earner at the time, and she was in that video, was Helen McBoy. And she was magnificent. She was perched on a chair. She wasn't sitting on it, she was kind of perched on it like this. Because of the staff, you got from the staff, she was going to perch on it like this. And she said, honey, I make more money than the President of the United States. And she had a diamond ring that was the size of a golf ball. Still the largest diamond I've ever seen in my life. She had suitcases when you were allowed to kill animals and glue them to suitcases. You were allowed to do that. She did not know how to make an airplane reservation because other people did it for her, and she passed around a check for 1 month, and it was for $37,000. And back then, that was a lot of money. Now directors make that. Back then, that's what nationals were making. And I'm looking at this beautiful woman thinking, and you think you're too good to do this. So I decided that I would go home, and this is why I tell you this story. that I would go home and I would figure out this business. And so I did. I went home to figure out Mary Kay, and the rest became history. I raised my children doing Mary Kay. They were 4 and 7. They are now 34 and 37. I'm a single grandma. I think that's what, I've never remarried, so I'm a single grandma. I have 4 little grandbabies. And the journey, I did, they went to private schools, they went to college, did all that stuff, and it's been on Mary Kay. Now, I will tell you how this happened. I was starving, because they were going to foreclose on my house, and my water was shut off, and all that kind of stuff. And they were taking Mary Kay cards by the minute. I would win it, and I would lose it, and I would win it, and I would lose it. 1 year, this is when it was all happening, when you're going through divorces and doing all kinds of bad. And they gave me my last car I had won that year was used. They just gave me a slightly used one, which is a slightly used brand. Just a few miles on it. But that's when I decided I was going to change my life. And so if it's not the way you think it should be and your career isn't going where it needs to go, it always just becomes a decision of us. We've heard this a million times. And that's kind of what I did. I was selling Mary Kay, and in those days we get gift sets for Christmas. And 25 years ago, there was no such thing as a basket. People, I'm going to teach you stuff. This is like a history class. There were no gift baskets. They didn't exist. There weren't a gift basket of any sort back 25 years ago. And one of my Mary Kay customers' husband was a surgeon. He's my dear surgeon. Love that man to death. That's why I'm standing before you today. And she said, John needs $60, $50 gourmet food baskets. Can you do them? Well, 6 times 5 is like $3,000. I did the math like in a second. I said, sure. But of course, no one knew how to do them. So we made these baskets in the basement. I abused my children. Ricky's crying, Mom. I ran out of cellophane, so then we used saran wrap. I'm telling you. But anyhow, what ended up happening is the people that sent those baskets, the people that received them started sending them. So I have another company, is a gourmet food company. We sell gift baskets at Christmas time to corporations and companies. And we got very big. And when we got big, I hired people. We couldn't do all the stuff. And Mary Kay got big. So then we invented the box. And Ricky could watch TV and put boxes together. And actually, he told the story last week. He said, I used to sit you for hours just putting boxes together. It was a box, something like this. I mean, literally, all through high school, this is what he would do. And then, because, I'm Italian, so you just kind of believe in child labor. So I opened the door one day and my father's standing there with a rollaway bed. I said, what are you doing? He goes, you're abusing my grandchildren. I'm moving in. Christmas, every December, my father, when the gift basket business was huge, my father moved in with me and did baskets with me. And he would stand down there. Back, any of you old timers, do you remember the Exquisite?
Yes.
Exquisite was exquisite. It was gorgeous, and it was in the most beautiful box you ever saw. And he would come upstairs, and he had this really bad hip, and he was older. I mean, the sucker was older. And he would come up, he's standing there, he would be like this. He'd stand up. Does it get an exquisite? Does it get an exquisite or a hand cream? I mean, it was amazing. So when I'm teaching you, everything I teach, everything I'm showing you here, I've already sold. And I sell lots of it. So a lot of it is going to be theory today, because you have to have the right attitude about doing Christmas. When you're a merchant, especially in the north, in December, you're selling out of all that stuff. Come January, your store is full of shorts and t-shirts and tank tops and stuff, and they have to be out of the store by June, and we're still wearing fleece. So, for real, you never got to sell stuff at full price because the weather wasn't nice. I mean, this year it's 42 degrees back home. So stores don't make money in the north in the winter if you're a clothing store. So back to school, we would start making money, and I had to make enough money the month of November and December to carry my business for a year. And that's what retailers are doing, and that's why I tell you this. You have to start thinking like a retailer. And I just kind of say things the way that you don't. You don't think like retailers, and you have to. You have a store, and your job is to bring people to your store, and they buy like you buy when you go to the store to buy the clothes that you have on, or the necklace that you have on, or the shoes you have on. So I need you to start thinking about retailers. If retailers if they carry their stores in November and December, that's when you guys quit. That's when you decide to go home and you're baking cookies and you're gift shopping and you're doing all that decorating and and so you quit when they kick in. So I want you to think differently. Because I had the stores for so long and I was so young, it's like, I don't know any better, so November 1st is like, we're here, we're ready to do Christmas. If you do it right, I've been a single mom. I do all the grocery shopping, Christmas shopping. My house is decorated to the nines. Of course, it's decorated before Halloween, but my house is decorated for Christmas. The whole shebang. I do everything that you guys do, and I did it as a single parent. And my family lived 100 miles away, so I didn't have my mom next door, any of that stuff. The only way my children, it was all paid babysitter kind of stuff, because I just didn't have anybody close. And I still did all of that, baked cookies, did all of that, but had a pile of money at the end of the season. So with that great big long story, to tell you, to put you in a place that I want you to be in mentally. And I want you to, I'm going to read you this little stuff, because you have to understand it. So having a successful Christmas and a holiday is an attitude and it's a mindset. Every time I set out to change my outcome, instead of giving up, big things happen. And I'll explain that in a minute. You have to think abundance and do the activity to achieve it. You have to think outside the box and be willing to work hard. In your mind, success is a done deal. For 15 years, now this may be you, and we're going to get into open houses in a little bit because I believe in them and I'll tell you why. But for 15 years, I would send out a postcard telling them to come to my Mary Kay open house. Excuse me. 6 people would come. I would send out like 300 postcards. 6 people would come. I would sell $600 and eat all the cookies. I did that for 15 years. Just a brilliant woman that I am. I just kept on doing it. So this came, like every time I set out to change my outcome, instead of giving up, big things happen. And I have girls that work for me because we still have the basket business. And I said to them, we're going to have the best Christmas we ever had, and we're going to change everything because obviously this isn't working. So when we did that, all of this happened. And Christmas became really, really big for us. And that's when my Mary Kay Christmas became really big for us. And that's, I'll share that with you so that you'll start understanding. Does anybody have the 6 people come eat our cookie thing happening? Right. It's not that you don't have good packaging, you just don't get anybody there. It's not that we don't have a good product, you just don't see any people to buy it. And that's the part that you don't, like 3 people see your stuff and like, well, this. You have 1 hour open house, you want to know why no one came. If you didn't fit into that 1 hour, no one's going to come. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. So this is what I did this year. I've been teaching Christmas since I've known Karen, so about 10 or 12 years. Because people wanted to know where I got all this stuff, and I thought, well, I'll just do this big workshop and teach everybody, they'll leave me alone. That wasn't, no, it didn't happen. I've been doing it ever since, and I absolutely love it. And it's awesome for me when I hear people say, that my Christmas season used to be $1,000 and now I'm 4, 5, 6 times that because of what I teach. So it works, and if you adopt this thought process, you'll be really successful. So I was teaching last year. Now you guys, how many of you have full-time jobs? How many of you have kids? How many of you have that big kid?
No,
the big kid, the husband kind of. And you do Mary Kay. Right. So, and all I'm going to tell you, you're going to do more. I'm not only going to do all that, you're going to do more. You're going to do Christmas too. So, yeah, right. You just see the looks on your faces. So, you're all sitting like, oh, right. I know you're dead already. So, that was happening last year. And what I have noticed over the years of being in business, women have more on their plate than they've ever had on their plate, and you guys are shutting down all the time. It's just easier to shut down than it is to keep going and making more money, and that's why you got into Mary Kay. So last year I decided we'd make it even more simple because I don't want you to shut down. Because there's a lot of money to be made during the holiday season. I want you to think of every store that you can imagine, and those 6 weeks, carry those stores for a year. And you're shutting down. So I can't have you do that. Because you guys are here because you want to make money, right? Okay, so this is what I decided to do. We have 8 little things that you have to do, okay? So what we're gonna talk about today is simple selling ideas plus how-tos, and here's the how-tos. How to plan your inventory purchases. I'm gonna tell you what to buy and how much to buy. How to make simple eye-catching gifts. How to make bows, for those of you who do not know how to make a bow, you're just gonna not believe it. How to establish price points that sell. That's one of the biggest mistakes that you make. Your price points you're not hitting the right price points. So we're gonna talk about that. That's probably the biggest thing I'll teach you to make a difference in your Christmas. How to have a successful open house. I'll give you all those tips to get all those people there. How to do the new on-the-go appointment. It's not new in our area, but I think it's gonna be new for a lot of people. That's what this little box here is. How to create displays that sell. I would usually come in and I have this beautiful display, and I've had girls go, I can't do Christmas because I can't do that display. So we're not doing it anymore. We're gonna build that little display right over there, and you're gonna see how long it takes and how easy it is, so that we eliminate that thought. And new consultants. How many of you are new consultants? You can do this too. So I have to like just blow out your brain, just blow out all that stuff that you've been telling yourself, and know that you can do Christmas and it's not gonna be a big thing, okay? So we're gonna start by, now, how to make money, save time, keeping it simple. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Okay.